Hello everyone, good to be again with all of you, and let's learn something regarding to our times. As we know, we are in the last days of the month of Adar, and we're coming in to the new month, and this is the month of Nisan. And as we know, the month of Nisan is called the month of redemption. What is the month of redemption of Nisan? It says, "B'Nisan nigalu abatenu." The month of Nisan, our parents got redeemed. Or b'Nisan atidin legail. The month of Nisan will be redeemed again. So this is why the month of Nisan will be coming in is called the month of redemption. Especially this Shabbos is called Parshat HaChodesh. HaChodesh is the parsha that he's starting to read about the whole story of the past calam, etc., related to the redemption of Mitzrayim. But today, we are still a few days prior of the month of Nisan. We are still in the month of Adar. And as we know, the month of Adar is also, as we learned about it before, a month of miracles, a month of joy, a month of redemption. As we know the story, that month of Adar is the month of Purim, where we were redeemed from the story of Aman. And this is why the Talmud says, Nismach geula legeula. Nismach means let's put together, let's have both of them next to each other, one redemption to the other redemption, the redemption of Purim right next to the redemption of Pesach. That's Adar and Nisan. And this is for that reason, as we know the Talmud teaches us, that a year like this year, when we have 2 months of Adar, we really celebrate Purim, the second month of Adar. Why the second month of Adar? In order to have Adar next to Nisan, should be Nismor Geula Legeula. It should be one redemption next to the other redemption. But if we go in a little bit deeper into the idea, how can we compare both? How can we compare the month of Adar to the month of Nisan? The month of Adar, yes, there was a miracle, but as the Talmud tells us, Akate Avdei Achashverosh. Prior of it and after, we were still servants to Achashverosh. We were still servants to a Gentile king, a king that did not want to build a temple, a king that it says in this time the faces of the Jews became black. It wasn't the best time for Jews. It wasn't a time of redemption. We can't call it redemption. Not even a second redemption when after they came back to Israel to rebuild the temple. It wasn't even that time. It was still a time of exile. Not only exile, slaves to Achashverosh, slave to a human being that it was not the best of human beings. How could we say that this is redemption right before the big redemption? What is the connection of both? And the explanation is in very short. Yes, the month of Adar is redemption, but it's not the real redemption. This is exile. It's true, we don't see the real light. It's still dark. It's still darkness around. But as we know the famous story with Rosh Chodesh, that what is the idea of Rosh Chodesh? We have the new moon. But prior of the new moon, the old moon disappears. As it says in the Tanakh, V'nifkadeta ki paked moshavecha. It's a time when suddenly the moon removes itself, and then we have the new moon. And this is the same idea of the month of Adar, month of Nisan. That in order to have the rebirth of the moon, in order to have the rebirth of the redemption, on the real redemption that we're coming up now to the new month, the month of Nisan, it's got to be first nifkadeta. It's got to be first. It's got to be first. It's got to be first emptiness, on the emptiness of the month of Adar. Yes, the month of Adar is a hard month. If you look the month of Adar compared to the month of Nisan, it's a hard month. It's not the real redemption. It's still exile. But this is what we're being taught. That from this month, from a month that it's hard, a month that we were slaves, Akate Avdei Achashverosh. We're still servants to Achashverosh. In that month we have to know it's redemption next to the new redemption. Because from these hard times, from there will come to the great redemption. From the emptiness, from the vacuum, this is when we come to the real redemption, the redemption of the month of Nisan. And that's the deeper explanation of Nismach Geula Legula. Not just to have Samuch means one next to each other. Samuch means also, Lismach means to help, like a shoulder to. It's like somech noflim. God helps the ones that fall. He gives them a shoulder to help them to get up. Nismach geula legula means, in the deeper sense, that the month of Adar is somech, helps out. In other words, from the darkness of the month of Adar, that we're still slaves to Achashverosh, helps us to come to the month of Nisan, to the real redemption, to the real Geula, as we say, the first Geula and the last Geula with Mashiach. And this is what these days are so special right now. That in the days of Adar, we have to see already the days of Nisan, the days of the redemption. In the days of darkness, as the famous story with the great Chassid, Reb Mendel Futerfas, as we spoke about him so many times. And his family was out of Russia then for close to 20 years. And he was alone in Siberia. And after he was Siberia, all his sad moments and hard times he had, let's not get into it now. He was applying all the time they should give him a permission to be able to live and to go join his family. And as he said, to go be with his Rebbe in New York. And they kept on refusing him. And he wrote to the Rebbe then that he sends again and again, and they refuse him. The Rebbe told him, very strong statement, you should be happy by the refusal, like you'll be happy when you get a Mirz Hashem, the permit to get out. And he said that, it's so hard. How can we be happy by the refusal, like same to be happy when I will get it? And as we know the story, immediately after, he asked again, and he did get it. And he said, you got to be a great chassid. The Rebbe is asking us to be a big chassid, like the time of the Baal Shem Tov. And that I should be happy now, as same I was happy then. And I should be happy then, as same as I'm happy now. And that's the teaching of Geula LeGeula. That in month of Adar, prior of month of Nisan, we should be in the same Simcha, the same Geula, like the month of Nisan. Lismoch Geula LeGeula. We have to have it. When we don't see it, we have to be happy like when we see it. Because momentarily, as we know in seconds, who will turn around from the time of the darkness that we are right now, will come to the great redemption. And this is why in the time now of our darkness, we have to be joyous and happy, and we know that we are in the Geula next to the real Geula. Have yourself all a good Shabbos and a good beginning of month of Nisan.